Listen, Chad, I'm not telling you to get a dog. I know you love to just find every reason why something won't work out, and I'm not interested in convincing you right now.
That's fair. I would love
It's not
a dog
that big of a deal.
Point.
Oh, would you? Well, let's think of 6,000 reasons why it's a terrible idea first.
Well, they're expensive.
Mm-hmm. Are they expensive? You mean to maintain?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a happy, healthy dog, it can be expensive.
No, I don't care about that.
You just chain them to the backyard, put food out once or twice a day, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I'll throw out my leftovers, regardless whether it's an old Pop-Tart, some pasta. My dog's never been happier. All right, dude. Do you want to do this pod? Let's get this going.
Let's do it. Dining etiquette. I had to. I
have some top of the show things that we could talk about if you're interested in, just so you know.
Yeah, perfect.
I know you don't have any AMAs right now, which is sad. How have those been going? By the way?
Actually, Jared, I technically don't, but I kind of do. So I've been having.
Please elaborate. I'm going to play the theme song under you.
Go for it. Go for it.
Do it. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, Jared. Well, it is now May, which means it's midterm May, Jared. So I am meeting one-on-one with over 200 students in my oral English class, and we are having discussions for their oral midterms. So it's been a fun experience, and one component of the midterm is to have them ask me questions. So I've gotten some interesting ones. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll
chat about them.
Maybe we'll save them for this episode. Maybe we'll save them for the next episode. We'll see.
That's right. Stay tuned.
I know you like to keep people on their toes.
That's right.
I'm learning.
Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. We are here today to talk about something incredibly important, especially as more people start getting out there and doing things in public, which is dining etiquette. We are here today to give you some tips and tricks to save you from some absolute embarrassment if you are dining at some fine establishments. If you're visiting Asia for the first time, we'll have some tips for you as well. And we'll certainly discuss some interesting dining etiquette from different countries as well today. So without further ado, I have my man who knows all of the right dining etiquette and who just oozes class, my good buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Listen, Chad, I'm not going to disagree with you. Everything you said there is 100% correct. I do know a little bit about fine dining. I do know a little bit about class. I ooze it. This is not just a hoodie. This is a champion hoodie because
that's right.
If I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy only the finest.
You are a champion, Jared.
Oh wow, thank you.
That's where we need the ham horns, my dude.
I am. Is that where we need the ham horns?
There you go. Oh, there we go. All right.
Listen, Chad. I come to serve. I don't know why we need the ham horn there, but if you ask for it, I'll give it to you. Also, by the way, follow us on Instagram, just so you know. Chad said it once again. So we'll see, because I'm going to give you one more challenge. Chad claims that he's going on the road again. Yes, I believe you might have heard last episode. I don't remember if I was nicer enough to take it out or leave it. Oh, I did leave it in. Left it at the very end. No one listened to it. I heard it, though. And I heard Chad say he was going to be going somewhere last weekend, yet here we are. Or this weekend. He said it last weekend about this weekend, yet here we are. He's in his dining room at home, as you can see.
But we're one step closer, Jared. One step closer.
And I keep telling you, you don't have to do this. You don't have to keep promising every week that you're going to do this. You could not say anything and then just do it.
That's true.
And then I would be shocked. But now, once you do it, I'm like, yeah, you damn right. It's about time. But that's okay. We just have different styles, I'm more of I've always been more of a don't say anything until it's done kind of person. I don't like to talk about stuff. I don't like to. Please, you seem like you want to say something there.
Then we wouldn't have heard about my van for probably 3 months. People wouldn't even know that I have one.
But that's fine. You make it seem like they needed to know ASAP.
People need to know, Jared. They need to know.
No one needed to know ASAP. You were just excited, which is fine to talk about it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you keep promising trips. And so now I'm at the point, it's who cried wolf level. You're going to tell me and be like, oh my gosh, I'm stranded in the woods. I need your help. Here are my coordinates, but that's all I can give you. And I can be like, I don't have time for this bullshit. Leave me alone,
I see how it is, Jared.
Only because I'm going to be like, there's no way he's in the woods. He's just messing with me now.
Got to keep you on your toes.
Let me ask you a question. Do you, Chad, have a way or a method, I guess I should say is the word I should be using, of showering with your setup?
Not yet. No, I have not bought a portable shower yet.
Do you have but your expectation is to go to campsites or whatever for the first couple of places where you can shower?
Yeah,
don't forget your flip-flops. I ask because maybe you don't even really need to shower. I saw on Twitter, on my trending stories, that people are showering less these days due to the pandemic, Chad. Have you heard about this?
I haven't, but that doesn't surprise me.
Has there been a change in your I can't say that word.
Showering habits? No.
I cannot say that word. There has not been a change. Seriously?
Not really. I mean, I'm the type of person I like to take a shower right in the morning after I get up. Kind of wakes me up, gets me going.
You take cold showers?
Once in a while, yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm a coward, dude.
Yeah,
I'm a coward. I'm
you
like
hop
a
in
cat
that water,
when it comes
Jared,
to
and
cold
then it's
showers.
Wakes your ass up. That's what happens. You take those cold showers,
they did that in Scrubs. You remember that in Scrubs where they're all taking cold showers? Cold showers is some sort of allusion to some sort of masturbatory reference, but I don't really understand that. I'm gonna be honest.
Cold shower?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, if you turn the water down enough, Jared, I mean, the way it hits your body, it just makes your body shut down, kind of. So I think
you shrivel up, is what they're saying. So it prevents you from. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because there is a whole. Do you remember that episode in Scrubs? Yeah. There was like that whole joke about cold showers, and I'm like, I understand this is masturbatory related, but I don't get it, and I don't think it was even an age thing because I still don't get it.
Right. No, I think it's just that like. If you take a cold enough shower, your body's instant reaction, like if you were thinking about the ladies, let's just put it that way, and then you hopped in the cold shower, like it would definitely get your mind off of it.
I see, because they were doing that scream, like they were all screaming, kind of like you did. And I was like, oh, does Chad get the joke? And anyway. I think my shower. I think the amount of times I shower per week has gone down. I think in general. When I went into the office, it was a 7 day a week affair, once a day. I'd say 6 to 7 days a week. Maybe I wouldn't shower on a Friday or Saturday, maybe.
That's fair.
6.5 days a week, let's say.
You know what my showers are going to be, Jared? Just got to go to some good lake places.
Yeah.
Then there you go.
Dude, you're gonna come back with dreadlocks and smelling disgusting. Now though, I think we're counting proper showers, not lake showers. I'd say I'm at about 4.5. I'm gonna say 4.5 to 5.
How do you
take
week. Half a shower?
I'm not saying I take
just
half
get your
a shower.
feet
Don't
wet
you know how,
and then that's
don't you know how math works, Chad? I'm not saying I take half a shower. I'm saying that sometimes I take 4 a week. Sometimes I take 5 a week. But if at the end of the year you average that all out,
that's 4.5.
It's probably about 4.5. It probably would come out to 4.5.
Pretty amazing, Jared.
I'm not saying I just rinse off or just do half of my body, or I do I'm counting Hooers baths where you just do the crucials, I'm saying that mathematically, if you were to give the mean, if you were to give the mean of how many times per week I shower, it would be 4.5.
Okay. Thank you for the math lesson, Jared. Who would have known this would turn into a math lecture? Just to clarify, I was just curious because I wonder.
I do. It just made me think if like the the water grid or whatever, the gas grid has seen like a difference in usage, but maybe not. Maybe it equals out because people are also home more often, so there's maybe more use of like heat and stuff like that.
Could be,
or like the sinks for other reasons, or like the bathrooms and stuff. But I certainly shower on more of a as needed basis. It feels like, like I'm not as I couldn't just quickly tell you the last, like if I shower. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if I might have, but I couldn't tell you if I showered this morning or yesterday. But it was one of those.
I showered both of those,
and I think that I like it. I think this is another benefit of working from home, is that just showering less. I think people overshower. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And you're a perfect example.
I might turn into a dirty hippie after spending some time out on the road with this van, Jared. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I did see. It's funny. I guess Facebook has been reading my mind or something, because I've been getting ads now on Facebook for like portable showers, camping showers, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they see what you're buying. They're like, oh, this person thinks they're going somewhere next week. Let's sell them some more stuff. And then they'll buy it, and then they won't go to that place because they'll need the shower before they go.
That's right.
Well, I'm glad at the very least. I'm confident that you will be going in 2 weeks. Are you? So when you go in 2 weeks, because once again, because I'm not even going to say it. I don't even have to say this. I don't have to be rude. I was going to say, because Jared, you have the safety net of other people there, just in case anything goes wrong. Which is fine. I'm not. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, I got my hatchet, Jared. I'll be fine.
Yeah, be careful with that, by the way. So I am excited to at least get some feedback on what it's like to camp in the van.
It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Do you want to bring up any of these AMAs? Oh no, let's get to some untranslatables. I didn't realize how long we've been rambling here.
Let's do it. And untranslatables are idioms, proverbs, sayings, axioms that don't always translate on a one-to-one basis into English, and that is the tried and true untranslatable OWL. And I will get us started today, Jared, with a Chinese untranslatable phrase today, which is "chi xiang." "Chi xiang," Jared, means to eat smelling good or fragrance. To eat fragrance.
To eat fragrance. Mm-hmm. So would that be like to eat something that smells good?
Yes.
Is that what they mean by to eat fragrance?
I believe so.
Is that just like to treat yourself to the finest cuisines?
Not quite. Let me give you this example here. Let me try
something
to
spicy?
Say it. No, let me try to say this in Chinese. I'm sure I'll mess it up, but then I'll give you the English translation here. Ta de wai yu neng li heng qiang, which is he is fluent in foreign languages. Yin ci zai zhao gong zhuo shi fai chang chi xiang. So he's fluent in foreign languages, therefore he is eating fragrance. Or he's maybe this is a better translation. He's fluent in foreign languages, and when he applies for jobs, he will be eating fragrances.
He's like eating fragrances. Is that like to have a lot of options? To be in like high demand?
I'll give it to you. Yeah. To be much sought after is what they say here. Or to be very valued, or to have a great advantage. To eat fragrance.
All right. I have another Tongan one for you. And it's Atika Mansi. Okay. No, that was right. But let me start over because I threw myself off a little bit. Atika Mansi Atatque Buyoleke. Once water spills, you cannot gather it again.
Can't cry over spilled milk.
What does that mean?
Means it's happened. You can't stress about it.
Yeah, sure. Something bad has happened, and it's irreversible. Irreversible. Yeah, irreversible.
Irreversible. Uh-huh. Okay.
Yes.
All right, nice. Well, let me give you another Chinese untranslatable. Chao yo yu, which means stir fry or stir fry squid or fried squid.
Stir fried squid?
Or just fry. I think fried squid makes more sense.
I see you went with a food themed
I did.
Untranslatables. Wow, that's very clever. I know you're just waiting to do this segue. You're already, you should already be thinking about it. I know you're not, but you should be.
Well, I have more untranslatables, but yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Fried squid, is that like a jumbled brain, like someone that's clueless? My brain is fried squid.
No, not quite. You could say, for example, Jared is often late to his job, and because of that, he was fried squid.
Oh, it's like getting in trouble. Oh, like I'm fried squid.
Even worse.
Oh, you're fried squid. Like to get reamed.
Even worse.
Out. Oh, you're fired?
Yes, sir. You're fired.
You're fried squid.
Yep.
I gotcha. Okay, I like that. That sounds almost like an old school. Like you're fried squid. You hear me? Fried squid.
Right.
You know, like outside of a New York high moving financial. Anyway.
Get out of here, you fried squid.
You fried squid. You hear me? You fried squid. My next untranslatable is Catalan, and it's El mes calent es a la guerra. La guerra.
One more time.
El mes calent es a la guerra.
There we go.
Sergio Aguera. But he's Aguero. It's not Aguera.
Yeah. Almost made me spit out my water.
The hottest things are still on the sink.
It means you need to pay attention to the most important things. Like the most recent things, the most current things. You need to live in the moment. Live in the moment.
Listen, Chad, people come to me and they say, Jared, you've done it all. Wow, how do you live so lavishly? Chad is you let Chad even live in your dining room of your spare home. That's very nice of you. And I say to them, listen, the hottest things are still on the sink.
Like it's no big deal.
Oh, here, let me keep going. They're like, wow, you have everything, you've done everything, and now you're donating to charities, you're saving small communities generous. All around the world. And I say no, and I say, hey, the smallest is still on the sink. Hey, what's next, Jared? What's next? And I say the hottest things are still on the sink.
Like I don't know.
The most important things have yet to be done.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I still got more, There's more coming. The hottest things are still on the sink. They have not been...
That makes more sense now. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, all right. Let me hit you with some Italiano. Essere alla frutta. To be at the fruit.
To be at the cutting edge. I'm at the fruit. I'm at the fruit of it, baby. I see what's going on, baby.
I would say it's probably the opposite of that, I would say.
I'm at the fruit. I'm at the shit end of it. How has this always happened to me? I'm at the fruit of this shit.
Yeah?
Okay.
It means to be at rock bottom.
Yeah. I'm at the fruit. Oh, I feel better now. Never mind.
There we go.
All right, Chad, do your segue.
Speaking of fruit... Speaking of being at rock bottom, Jared, you need to tune into our episode about dining etiquette, because if you make some of these mistakes, you might feel like you're at rock bottom. Or, hey, if you irritate your boss at your company dinner, you might hit rock bottom as well because you become fried squid. So let's get into it today, Jared, and talk about dining etiquette. And the fascinating thing about dining etiquette is, depending on where you are, it can vary so much, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you were at a burger joint with your friends, kind of almost anything goes. You can eat with your hands, you can talk loudly. Extent, well, right.
Because, for example, just a random example, farting. is still probably off limits.
That's fair.
And this is something I haven't looked up. I don't know the answer to, but I always heard, and this might be offensive. Now that I think about this,
You might need
but
to
I don't know why it would be.
Google it before
But
you
I
say it,
always
Jared.
heard as a kid that like in certain cultures, farting was like a sign of like not respect, but like
You enjoyed the meal.
This was great, yeah. Or like
Right.
burping and farting is not offensive. It's like, listen, this is great, and these are but so I would still say that there is still some etiquette there, you know.
Right.
And also there's etiquette. Maybe the etiquette might not be like how like a respectability thing, but there is still an etiquette where if you're at like said burger joint, I think people will look at you weird if you were eating your burger with a fork and knife.
Yeah. Or chopsticks.
Yeah, that would be
People might
impressive.
give you, right? That would be very impressive. Very, very impressive.
That would, I still think that etiquette still like even though like you might, I know you like to shit on America and all that stuff. It's fun, sure. Even though you might consider these dive bar burger joints the bottom of the barrel as far as like class and luxury goes.
At the fruit, Jared.
There is still I'm at the fruit I'm eating at this place. There is still a level of etiquette where people will look at you weird for certain behavior.
Right.
Or even if you like, maybe people will look at you weird if you like well, maybe not if you put your napkin in your lap. I don't think that's that weird even
Right.
even at like a burger joint.
Probably not. I think the key about etiquette, Jared, is knowing what to do and certainly what not to do. Because I think
Yes.
sometimes that is just as important as knowing what to do. Because, like I know I was watching a video with my students a couple of years ago when I was in the Czech Republic, and we watched this video where Conan O'Brien ended up going down south for like hospitality training or like gentleman's training, or I don't even remember what it was. It might have been etiquette training or like manners or school or something. But anyways, they were sitting at this fancy table and they had all these different like forks and spoons and plates. And it was so funny, watching Conan try to figure out what the correct utensil to use was and all that stuff. Because if you don't grow up in that type of culture, you're not going to know.
Yeah, I've done that before. I've been in one of those classes.
Really?
Yeah.
So what can you teach us today, Jared?
When I was a kid, I was in something called Jack and Jill. You don't know anything about that, which is fine. You shouldn't.
What's that supposed to
for
mean,
the
Jared?
best? Chad, tell us about Jack and Jill. What do you know about Jack and Jill besides for that they went up the hill to catch a pail of water?
I was just going to say they went up the hill.
Other than that, what do you know about Jack and Jill?
Sounds like a rich people's school. That's what it sounds like to me, Jared. I don't know.
You're right, Chad, but it is sort of a rich person thing, but it's specifically more of like a black person thing. But it is sort of like still sort of like a snooty sort of thing, to be clear. It's not like but it is like a I don't even know what you
Jack
call
and
it.
Jill.
Like a association, like a group, and it's essentially just like about like it's you know what it is. Here's what it is to me now that I'm out of it and I did it as a kid. It's very respectability politics. Do you know what that is, Chad?
I mean, I understand what those words mean, I guess, but you want to give us a little bit more insight?
You can just say no. It's okay. You don't have to know what it means.
Respectability politics would just be how to
You don't
treat
have to know what it
people in
means.
certain
No.
situations, right? No?
No. So respectability politics is this idea of like if you're like some sort of minority, it's like what you have to do so white people don't. So like for example, like Bill Cosby used to be like, don't sag your pants, don't swear, tuck in your shirt or whatever. That sort of stuff is respectability politics. It's like this is what you do so like the white people don't think of you as less than.
But now
and it's sort
if
of like a false idea because it's like no matter what you do, it doesn't matter really.
Now, if you were to do that all the time, though, aren't there like a lot of people probably in the black community who might call somebody like corny or weird if you like did that all the time?
But it's not. Well, that. Listen, I have no idea. I don't even know how to answer that question. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But respectability politics it's like this idea of like this is what you have to do essentially. So like you don't get you don't catch the ire of the white person, which I think has been proven as sort of a false idea that no matter like wearing a suit does not stop you from getting pulled over by the police or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, but it is all like this sort of. It's not all bad. I don't mean to shit on it fully, like Jack and Jill. But it is sort of like this, like black excellence sort of idea. And it's like, and so one of the classes I did as a kid was this etiquette class, and they teach you like the proper ways to that like the official rules to dining.
Okay.
I don't remember all of them. I don't remember most of them. I remember, they taught you like, let's see if I remember.
Well, can I ask you this, Jared? Are there like a Jared's top 5 dining etiquette rules?
I'm not a big fan of assigning top numbers to it because I don't even know if I could think of 5.
Okay.
But I'll tell you the ones I can think of. I'm not going to give you a top 5 because that makes it seem like I have a lot more than 5 that I could think of.
That's fair.
Top 5 is 5 period. Let alone top 5 is pushing it. So no, I'll just tell you what I can remember from it. I remember specifically the one that comes to mind is you always pass stuff to the left.
Yay.
You could actually, since you don't know any, you could actually could you just pull up like the official like etiquette rules or something? I know while you're pulling it up, you're not going to listen to me, but that's okay. I'll just go through some of them. Why did you say, oh, is that like a pass the weed to the left kind of thing? Is that why you did the Ice Cube yay?
No, because we're both left-handed.
Oh,
we're both left-handed.
I thought that was maybe some sort of like Snoop Dogg reference or something that I wasn't catching. Okay.
Shout out to Snoop Dogg.
I was like, is this some sort of pass the duchy to the left reference that I'm not catching here? Anyway, so you always pass to the left. And I just remember that specifically because I remember, first of all, here's a juxtaposition. Maybe like these two things don't belong together. I remember asking someone to pass me the ranch, please. Would you please pass me the ranch, kind ma'am? Right. And this person was sitting to the right of me. Wait, no, they're sitting to the left of me, not the right of me, because the left of me, if it was the right of me, then they pass it to the left and it would be to me.
Right.
They were sitting to the left of me, so they had to pass it to their left, and this was a table of like 10 plus people.
I had to go all the way around?
No, well, we didn't. We're like, this is stupid. I'm like, just hand me the fucking... I mean, I don't know if I said those words because I was like...
my ranch.
Like,
pass it to the right.
I don't know, because then they're going to pass it around and someone's going to be like, oh, I want some more ranch. Oh, that's a good idea.
And then no ranch for Jared. None.
Pass me the ranch to the right. I don't give a fuck. That's what I said. No.
Jared failed out of Jack and Jill after the first class.
I remember you passed to the left, passed the duchy to the left. That's how they taught us to remember it in Jack and Jill.
You're going to get some angry emails from the Jack and Jill Foundation. You're gonna be like, dear sir.
I also remember the sort of the placement, but I feel like I remember this more from my parents than I do from Jack and Jill, but I'm sure it came up during this. The placement of the utensils. The thing that's going to be used first is always on the outside. You have your forks on the left. You have your spoon and knife on the right, I believe. How's that sound? Are you looking this up?
I am looking this up.
How does that sound?
It doesn't say anything about that on the list I found.
All right, you put your glass on the right side, I believe, in front of the fork and knife, and then not fork and knife, in front of the fork and knife and spoon. You got to obviously put your napkin on your lap when you sit down. Another one, and this is another one. I don't know if my parents just drilled this into me, my dad specifically, I should say, or I learned this at Jack and Jill as well. Don't put your elbows on the table. Don't sit like this. Don't sit, with your hands under your chin. None of that. No supporting your head, you lazy ass.
This isn't nap time. This is dinner time.
Yeah, this is what are you relaxing, you idiot? And then there's I don't remember if they taught you stuff like like, when a lady approaches, you stand. Or I don't remember if they taught that sort of stuff. Or like I don't remember what the etiquette is on the if like you got to pee. Hey, listen, I gotta go take a piss.
That one
I
is
gotta
on
go
this
drain
list,
the
Jared.
main vein.
So that one is on the list.
Is that what
actually.
they say to do?
That's number 9.
Woo,
it says never
your boy's
say.
been drinking, baby.
That's right.
I am
never
lit.
say you are going to the restroom. If you have to leave to use the restroom, please just excuse yourself. No need to say why. So there you go. Pardon me, I gotta take a deuce.
Ooh, it's crowning. It's crowning. Gotta go. That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense.
Is there a turtle head? I don't see a pond around here anywhere.
What sort of other?
Let me give you the list. I got
that's sort
11.
of all I can think of at the top of my head.
I have a list of 11 here.
Okay.
And this is from Food and Wine. So they probably
my dad
know.
actually subscribes to the magazine. No joke. He has back issues going back to like the late 80s.
Nice.
Of Food and Wine magazines.
Nice. Well, there we go. So we know this is reputable, Jared. So number 1, if you are in a formal dining situation, the menu should never be fully lifted off the table. The menu should always be touching the table in one place.
So you can elevate it,
right?
But you got to have like
keep that
if
corner
you elevate
down.
it, still have the 2 touch points at the unless you're reading it sideways,
right?
Never fully lift it off the table. Interesting.
Yep.
I get that though. That does sound unclassy.
Here's one rule, Jared, that I have certainly broken. Once you sip from a glass, you must sip from the exact same place on that glass.
That's stupid.
For the rest of the evening.
First of all, that's a sexist because I imagine that leans more towards women regarding their lipstick mark, not putting multiple lipstick marks on a glass, and that's dumb. What? All right, keep going. I don't need to be this angry.
Don't clink, not even for the gram, Jared. Clinking cheers could damage the glass. I mean, have you seen how thin some of those wine glasses are?
Clinking is very unclassy. I agree with that.
That's right. Keep it classy. Keep it.
I mean, when you think of clinking, you think of like a bunch of like drunken Germans at Oktoberfest, like or like slamming with like beer sloshing out,
just smacking each other in the face.
But
with
that's
their
like
moss.
an inch thick glass mosses, and like they're made to be slammed together. But that's not a classy affair. No one's pretending that that's a classy affair.
Exactly. Never ask for an oyster fork.
Never ask for an oyster fork?
Yep.
Why would you ask for an oyster?
If there's no oyster fork on the table, don't ask for one. The lack of oyster fork means that the oyster is already loosened and ready to go.
See,
if
Chad,
for some reason, right?
By the way, let's not just skip over the fact that I properly analyzed that these oysters would already be pre-loosened.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. See what I missed out not going to Jack and Jill, Jared?
You would never be accepted, you cracker.
That's
true.
What
we call you. The crackers say.
I'm sure, yeah.
No, wait, I'm kidding. It wasn't like that. That's not true. We weren't paying attention to you guys. Yeah, how to appease. We had a whole another lesson on how to appease the whites.
That's right.
And that's why I'm able to have this conversation with you right now.
Exactly. The whole
Thank
podcast.
you, Jack and Jill. I told you it's not all bad.
That's right. That's right. We're actually...
You're right. They're coming after me now.
We're low-key sponsored by them, Jared. They've been keeping the podcast alive since episode 1.
I'm going to have some Jared. Jack and Jill spies like breaking into my house and just assassinating me. It's like, You've said too much, you idiot.
Yep.
We've had to take them out.
But they'll at least do it while you're eating dinner and you aren't clinking your wine glasses and you're not using an oyster fork or asking for one. All right, Jared, rule number 5. Keep the rim of your plate as clean as possible. Which, I mean, this makes sense, for you and for the service staff. That makes sense.
It's not about the service staff. None of this is about the service staff.
This literally says this is out of respect for the service staff who has to clean the plates.
That's a lie. Okay. I don't care what they say. That's a lie. It is not for the service staff. No, do you think, Chad, these rich people at a restaurant like you're at right now give a shit about the serving staff? That's a hilarious notion. They do it. It's a sign of
Phoebe, look at these peasants waiting our tables.
It's no, because they have the class not to say that also.
Indubitably.
These people are people just like us. That's what they do.
Oh, thank you, sir. Is that last season's Armani?
The reason you keep your plate clean is it's a sign of your own cleanliness. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with... Because first of all, what difference does it make whether there's a little bit of au jus on the outer rim of your plate or not? They're going to put it in some sort of shitty industrial dishwasher anyway. It makes no difference. It's not like now that there's some juice on the outside, they're like, oh my gosh, now I got to spend an extra 14 minutes cleaning this. This person left a little aioli on the outside of this plate. Well, how dare they? It has nothing to do with the serving staff.
Okay.
It's a symbol of your own cleanliness, a symbol of your own order and structure and awareness, which is very classy to these people. Someone's walking into the restaurant behind you, by the way. You might want to attend to that.
That's all right. That's all right. The last couple
I
left
you
a
were
bunch
the wait
of
staff. I didn't think you were actually eating there.
Right. Well, the last couple left a lot of junk on the rim of their plate, and I had to clean it off my fancy
they better
wait staff hoodie here. Nope, it was they just rounded up.
Welcome to El Basset Owned.
Exactly. Number 6, Jared. Place the discards on the upper left part of your plate. Did they teach you that?
The discards?
So like if you have a lemon rind, if you have some bones.
I have not heard that one before. I've not heard that one. Do they have one regarding when you're done with the meal, where do you place your utensils? That's another one I learned that I'll give you.
Okay.
Maybe they have it in there, maybe they don't, but let me give it first. Let me give it first, because obviously the list, we're going to assume that that's gospel. Let's see if I know anything,
Okay, let's see,
This is about us, Chad. This is not about some lists. You know I hate lists. When you're done with your meal, what I've seen the uncultured swine do is they'll take their fork and knife, place it on the corner of their plate, vented where it's touching the table and the plate, sort of thing, where the eaten part is on the plate, and then but the proper thing that I've been taught to do by the cultured swine is I like my bacon cultured. What can I say? I'm a classy man. Oh, it's cured. That's actually, it's not cultured. Culturing is like a dairy process.
You like your eggs fertilized. Oh!
Is to place them parallel to one another into the plate.
Okay.
And that's
that what they
usually
do in
to
Europe
the side.
too?
Listen, Chad. If that's where a lot of my training, not to brag, has been European based. So if that's what they do in Europe, then that's what they do in Europe. Another one.
We allow some humble brags like that, Jared.
I'm not even bragging. I didn't know that was a Europe. So what do they do in the U.S.? Are you looking at a U.S. centric list?
Well,
of what to do?
Is food and wine U.S. centric?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
So
it's an American publication, I believe.
Well, I just remember seeing that in Europe, and that's where I remember that from.
I remember when I moved back from Germany, I would get a lot of commentary on how I held my utensils.
Okay.
In Food and Wine, by the way, is an American publication. Just to be clear, it. Oh, geez. All right. Well, now I question its
authenticity.
How much they know about class, because it's based in Birmingham, Alabama. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I think the South. I'm kidding, because I think the South is actually
perfect.
Perfect.
The Society for
exactly
fine dining.
Actually, where you're at right now looks super Southern, like just gaudy, and I think the South is actually perfect, because they do have, like, they're very like I think it's perfect. I don't even mean to insult the South, but anyway, what I would do is I have a system where I have a constant. I'm left-handed, so usually fork in the right hand, knife in the left hand. That's how you cut things. And then you work where you cut and slide and do the back. I don't really do it as much anymore, maybe I'm getting out of the habit of it. And then you sort of just have a constant two-hand situation. I feel like that is maybe a very European thing, and I think I did pick that up from Europe, because I don't think I did it. I certainly didn't do it before that. I moved to Germany when I was 11. So before that, I did it where I probably cut everything first, like a 6-year-old, and then and then ate it. But I think I did sort of adopt the constant two-hand thing. And when I came back to the U.S., I was actually shocked at how many comments I got on, like, legitimately
dining
on
skills.
Like, I don't know if they call it a skill, but I'd be like, well, why do you eat like more like a whoa? You hold it with both hands like that, and I'm like, I guess so. I never really thought about it.
Oh, you peasants eating so abnormally. I'm sure that's what was going on in your mind, right?
I have no problem with the switch back and forth. I understand it. I will tell you, I do slightly look down upon, as I mentioned a second ago, and I actually have a friend that does it, and I do look down upon him. I don't give a shit. Brad, I look down upon you for doing this. He does the thing where he does like the cut all the pieces first,
okay,
and then proceeds with eating his meal, and that feels like the child's way to eat.
Okay,
is that what you do, Chad?
Hell no, I don't cut everything first.
The way you weren't responding made it seem like you were just going to let me leave that there and like not even mention that that's what you do. You're like, okay, moving on.
Right. Well, this is awkward.
I'm very curious, Chad. You spent time in Germany, you spent time in Czech Republic. That sort of dining etiquette, I personally, I'm pretty used to. Like the idea of dining in Czech Republic when I went there for the first time when I visited you 2 years ago, there was no sort of intimidation to the etiquette of eating because it's no really different than Germany for the most part.
Well, that's because we weren't slamming Slivovice shots. That's why.
Yeah, I would have gotten different fast if we. Yeah, that's true. Right. But I'm curious what it was like in China, where so much is so different regarding eating. Utensils, regarding just culture in general. First of all, a question I have for you: napkins. How does that work?
That's a good question. It depends on the quality of establishment and the type of place you go to. Like, for example,
imagine you're at it doesn't have to be classy like what you're sitting in right now, but like if we're talking dining, imagine you're like a sit-down establishment. Right. Where you are taking maybe like a girlfriend at least for some level of wanting to impress.
Well, if you go to like a lot of the fancier places in China that I went to were more quote unquote westernized. Like I went to
that's what
really
I
nice
would think.
Yep. So
like
a really nice steakhouse.
Do they not consider? I'm sorry for talking over you.
You're good.
Do they not consider like Chinese food a fancy cuisine in China?
I was gonna get there. So So in China, there are certainly some more fine dining type of Chinese places.
Sure.
And I would say the main difference between these places versus like just a more average Chinese, restaurant to go like for dinner would be, number one, a lot of these places, they just have more formalities in terms of like you can't just, some places you can't just walk in and there's a table you have to call first and reserve one. Just the display of dishes, like just the workmanship, and it looks like a piece of art, Did
you see what I was doing? That we're moving.
Yeah. Lifting up the.
I know.
Well, that's how they serve it, though. Like I went to a nicer Chinese restaurant in Jinan, and that's how they serve things. They brought out. They literally they rolled it on a cart. It was like a chrome cart, basically. They rolled all this food on. And it was really beautifully displayed.
They did that in what?
Oh, in Republica.
Yeah, Republica.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
so that's just a classic connoisseurs of fine dining, aren't we, Jared?
Listen, Chad, I never told you. I never said you weren't. I never once said you weren't.
That's fair. But it is certainly a different experience in China as well, Jared, because even a lot of the nicer Chinese restaurants, they have generally most of the tables, they're round tables, and they have these round glass turnstiles, kind of like a lazy Susan is what we would call it, right?
Right. But in general, China is more of the food culture is more of a sharing culture in general.
Right, which is
like
what
the quote-unquote
I love.
family style.
Right, which was super awesome because some of the nicer Chinese restaurants we went out to, it was like after a workshop or doing something like that. And then I had the good fortune of going out with, some like really high ups at these universities in some of these towns. Of course, they're very well connected. So, we had like a back table at this really nice restaurant. And the other thing you can tell as well, Jared, the difference between a really nice Chinese place in China versus like a more average is the quality of chopsticks. So you can get some really nice chopsticks at a fancy restaurant. Yeah.
We've talked about this before. We do know that different chopstick countries use different material chopsticks generally.
Correct.
So I remember you saying Korea tends to be a metal chopstick place because they have a lot of sauces and stuff. So is China, is it more like the quality of wood? Or like maybe there's designs in it or something, some sort of artistry to it?
Sure, they have ones that have like some ornamentation on them, but then they have these other ones that I don't know if it's made out of stone or plastic or what, but they're black. But see, the other difference with Chinese chopsticks and Korean chopsticks and Japanese chopsticks, if I remember correctly, a lot of the nicer Chinese restaurants that I went to, the chopsticks were more of a square shape, whereas a lot of the Korean and Japanese ones are a bit more rounded. So that's another difference. Okay. But yeah, and the other thing too, Jared, that I wanted to mention during today's episode, I know it's kind of obvious, but I think it's still worth mentioning, is that another big aspect of dining etiquette is like knowing the dress code a little bit, like you don't want to, waltz into a fancy restaurant wearing your tank top and your board shorts. That's probably not going to go over well.
What's it like in China as far as making sure you're properly dressed for the occasion?
I had a button down on and a sport coat and usually a pair of slacks, and there were never any issues there.
I gotcha. Are they this is a huge, obviously, generalization, but did you find like a lot of was there a lot of like sort of what is it, pomp and circumstance to dining? Is that like a huge part of the culture, sort of that etiquette? That experience?
It can be.
It feels like, because I only ask because I feel like that quote unquote family style culture like does lead to more like I don't know. I like it in theory, even though I hate the idea of sharing. I've, especially if you're
think about how many more dishes you can try because of it. That's why. I mean,
I just don't like other people's
pre-Corona time. I would say it was a great way to eat.
I think I just get a little grossed out by other people's utensils in the food that I'm eating too.
Right.
And I think that was even the case pre-Corona times. Not to brag, I was still disgusted by that.
Now, one thing as well, speaking of Chinese fine dining, what you should also not do is pass something to someone via your chopsticks to theirs. It's more common to hand the plate. Yeah,
that makes sense. I could see that. I mean, we don't even have to get into the whole like not stabbing. We already know all that stuff. What are some other dining etiquette things that you would like to talk about, Chad? Is there anything else on your mind?
I mean, there's so many different aspects of dining etiquette.
Can I ask you a question? Actually, did you ever get, what sort of personal training did you get as a child? Like, and I don't mean to say that your parents were like giving you some sort of like dining etiquette training, but do you remember some things that maybe you were constantly berated about as a kid? Because I was certainly constantly by my dad. Finish your plate is a big one.
That was a big one.
I'm sure you've had some moments where you were sitting at the table for like an hour. Did you ever have to do that? I don't know. You seem like you were pretty treated pretty well. I've certainly had a few times where it was a finish the plate moment, and I find myself at the dining room table an hour later by myself. That's definitely happened a couple times.
That's never happened to me before.
Yeah, I can imagine. No. Yeah, you seem like I can imagine. You seem like you were taken very good care of, Chad. Yeah. Like a loved puppy almost. That's how I picture you. Anything that you got? So finish the plate. That makes sense. Anything you got like which is actually a big one. Especially that's a big dining etiquette thing. For example, in the South, I don't know about any other places that you've been, but like but like if you don't finish the plate in the South, at least with my family and the Southern people I've experienced, it means you don't it only means you don't like it.
Boy, you slipping on gator piss.
There's no such thing as I'm full. It's like, you don't like it. That's why you didn't finish the plate. It's like the fullness is, if you tell someone you're full, it always ends with like a roll eyes, like, yeah, all right. I don't believe you.
You ain't close enough to diabetes yet.
Yeah, they love. Yeah, no. There's a lot of denial about the high levels of diabetes. They don't talk about it. Yo, you got my sugar levels real high. Actually, no, I could see that. You're right. I take it back. So that is a thing. Finishing the plate is certainly offensive.
Now, what's interesting about that, though, Jared, is the idea of an empty plate, finished plate. It has different cultural connotations, right? So, like, for example, in China, actually, you want to leave a teeny tiny bit left on your plate because what happens is if you do finish your plate, they'll think you want more. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's also something to be very aware of. And I would say if you're visiting a new place and you're unsure, if you're out in public, watch what the locals do,
This is a tough question, I understand. But was there anything when you were in China that you had to really be careful of as far as had to pay a special note to as far as being in a new dining situation? Because obviously, as I mentioned, in Czech Republic and Germany, you can walk into those dining situations and not really have to really think about much.
Right.
It's not really much different than the U.S. and the things that you're aware of.
Well, Jared, as you are probably in the same boat as I am here, but I'm always hyper aware of where I should sit because I don't want to elbow people being left-handed, right?
Yeah.
So, and
I'm only hyper aware of it after I find myself in that situation where I'm like, oh, God.
Right?
I should have thought about this.
And
it's usually how it goes.
Right, and the trickier thing in China, because when you use chopstick, your elbow comes out a little bit, because you're the way you eat it. So,
sure.
You have to be careful. And some of those spots where we ate at, there wasn't a ton of space. So you had to make sure you really were smart about where you sat. The other thing too is in China, a lot of meat dishes, the bones are still in the dish. So like I never really, and I'm not even really sure, to be honest with you, like what the correct or proper way to do that is. I don't know if you can just spit out your bones. I would always just, bring like a tissue or something near my mouth and spit it out there and kind of grab it and, wrap it up and put it on my plate.
Yeah, but that's kind of gross too, isn't it? If you just have a bunch of napkins with bones wrapped up. But it's not gross in certain, if you were to have like drumsticks or wings, It's not gross to have bones on your plate.
Right. But the difference here, Jared, is they cut up the chicken so you're chewing it and then you'll get like bones.
Oh, I understand. But
fish dishes is the same thing.
I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong, but I would say it's almost grosser to constantly be spitting bones into napkins and wrapping those up.
It wasn't constantly. It was, a couple of bones. But still,
right, listen.
I see what you're saying. It's, yeah.
I'm not saying you did anything wrong. Shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. Keep going.
Another thing that I just found fascinating was just watching Chinese people eat noodles with chopsticks.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a sight to see.
As far as pasta goes, whether you're in Italy or the U.S., the idea of like sucking up your spaghetti is a big faux pas, a big no-no.
Right.
You're supposed to wrap it up and eat it in one go, and maybe you suck one little last piece of noodle up. Lady in the Tramp style, but yeah, in China or not even China, in most, I think Asian countries that are, because a lot of Asian countries are noodle heavy, and sort of broth based noodle heavy.
Yeah, and here's the other thing with the noodles is, I don't remember if this was in Japan or China now, but they were saying that when you slurp the hot noodles, it actually improves the experience because you're also bringing in oxygen. Like there's like some like foodie,
it's like a cooling process.
Yeah,
I see.
There's some like foodie explanation for justifying slurping up your noodles.
I can imagine. I still, as a lover of ramen, I still struggle to properly slurp, and it's just my American sensibilities that are embarrassed by the idea of slurping. And I've been to, when I was in Toronto, I believe Toronto, I would imagine, has a much larger like Asian population than Metro Detroit, if you could have believed that. And so the only reason I say that is because I went to multiple ramen places, I remember, where there were like Asian people around me, and they were slurping it obviously and eating it properly, and it was like, I don't know why I still have this sort of like fear that people will look. I think just in general, as someone that first of all doesn't know how to
used
really
to it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not used to it, and in general, I also don't even really know how to use chopsticks. Even though I do use them, every time I use them, like I walk out and it feels like I did like. I don't know, played at a
20 hours
symphony
of FIFA
or something for see exactly like my hand is in pain.
I mean,
because I don't know how to do it.
When I lived in China, Jared, I noticed my hands would start to. It was about the
Cramp
10,
up.
15 minute mark of a meal when I would start dropping shit.
Yeah,
and it was bad.
And so, like, the
bad.
slurping is a big adjustment for me, and it is culturally in my head a big block. Even though I'm a big fan of foods where it's that is the etiquette wise, theoretically, the proper way to eat ramen.
Right.
that's how it was intended to be eaten. Especially since it's a chopstick food, you can't really twirl it even if you wanted to.
Right.
I mean, you could, but it's not really that practical.
There was a funny video that went viral a couple of years ago of an Asian guy showing a hack on how to eat ramen. Basically, he had these huge scissors, and he like pulled up the ramen, cut them, then would eat it, grab a bunch more, cut it.
He's like a famous like YouTuber TikTok guy, and he's sort of like a slightly bigger guy.
Yeah,
that does a whole bunch. It does videos. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I've seen that too. Yeah.
So Jared, now I want to test
one more question. One more question.
Okay.
I'm ready to be tested. Just one more question about.
Let's hear it.
About the etiquette in China. Napkin on the lap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then when you place down your chopsticks. See, I just pulled the chat. I said one more question. This is 2 so far. When you place down the chopsticks to wipe off your face, where do you put the chopsticks? Do they
stab them in the middle of your plate? No,
does
that's
it come
the opposite
with maybe
of what
like
you
a chopstick holder, or do you
the
like
nicer
across
restaurants
the plate?
will. The nicer restaurants will have like a little thingy that you can place the chopsticks on. A lot of places, though, you can just put them on the bowl or the plate or whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Horizontally, not vertically. But yeah, the other thing...
not vertically. So that means you put it this way on the plate?
Yeah.
Not
horizontally.
Not up and down.
Right.
So,
it's flat.
Interesting.
Yeah, because if it's up and down, Jared, that's what they do like for a funeral. Is they put the chopsticks in rice facing vertically.
I see what you're saying. I misunderstood what you meant. I thought you meant on a circular plate, horizontal to you or vertical to you, not horizontally meaning down into the. Okay, I got you. I got you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The other thing though too, Jared, about dining etiquette in China, and we were told this by our supervisor, that if a Chinese person invites you to drink, like have a beer, what they do in China is they have lots of toasts throughout the meal. And so basically what they said is if you're going to drink with them, you need to drink with them. Like you can't just have one beer.
So you either have to start the night either being I drink or I don't drink. Those are the only two options. There's no in between.
Start the night and then end up shit-faced at a KTV with your future boss. Or you don't drink and then you go home.
My mother has spent some time in Russia. She used to work at a company that was owned by Russians, and that was a constant struggle for her as someone that's not a huge shots of vodka person.
Right.
She's more like a glass or two of wine kind of person.
Right.
And so she would always dread like literally the inevitable like shot or two that she would quote unquote have to take. Or else, essentially, is sort of like a what's wrong with you kind of thing.
Right. Well, you not have vodka. It's good for you.
And I can only imagine her like doing it and doing like the, where you like shiver and
right, make the faces for sure. Well, Jared, that is certainly a taboo, though, in some places, to turn down a customary drink or something.
For sure.
So, Jared, I thought it would be fun to wrap up today's episode by testing you on some different rules for different places.
Yes.
So I'm
Listen,
going
I've
to
taken
give
the
you...
classes. I've
That's
already
right.
claimed
We're
that
testing your Jack and Jill skills right here, Jared.
He's properly classy.
And this is the Jack and Jill international version, people, so stay tuned.
All right.
So, Jared, tell me, what should you never do if you are eating in Italy?
What should you never do if you're eating in Italy?
More specifically, after a meal, what should you never do?
Pull down your pants and shit on your plate.
Well, I would say that goes Without saying in many countries.
That is such a broad question. What do you mean? What I said is true. You should not pull down your pants and shit on the plate. What's the problem?
That's true. That's just not quite the answer I was looking for. It has to do with a very famous drink that I think many people associate with Italy.
One of those aperitif drinks or wine?
Those are fine to drink after a meal, Jared. This would be something you don't want to drink after a meal.
A beverage you don't want to drink after a meal. Prosecco? Okay, I'm trying to think of
They say, Jared, at least in Italian culture, cappuccinos impede digestion, is what they say.
I've heard that actually makes sense because, as far as I'm aware, the espresso is the post-dinner drink.
Right. See?
And even coffee is kind of weird. And Italians, I've been to some relatively fancy Italian restaurants. Their drink process in itself is a whole thing. Like, you know, you start with, you know, it's like you start with maybe like the sparkling Prosecco, and then you go to, maybe with dinner, you'll have some sort of red wine or something. And then after that, you have the aperitif, which is the, like a grappa or something, you know, like one of, like similar to like a Slivovica or whatever. You know, like one of those aperitif sort of like, you know, like high alcohol sort of shots you take, and that sort of clears your palate. And then actually I remember I went to this one place where they had like the sorbet that had like booze in it.
Nice.
And then after that you'll have like maybe like what is it, like a brandy or something,
and then an
espresso.
Yep.
And so like like the liquids in itself is a whole meal.
Right. So in
Give
Italy, you don't
another
want
wide open
to
question that I'm going to answer completely terribly.
Let me do that for you.
What
animal should you never flip over in China, Jared?
What animal should you never, alive or dead?
Well, you're eating it.
You don't. Oh,
it's on your plate. There you go.
Yeah,
that is considered bad luck.
That's
China.
Interesting. I wouldn't think of bad luck. I would think it would just be harder to deal with once you did that.
Yep. So basically, it's flipping a whole fish after eating. One side is considered bad luck as it's associated with a capsized fishing boat.
Interesting.
Instead, remove the bones.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
If you want to get to the other side. Yep.
Of course. Yes. Tom and Jerry style.
Yep. But you know what you can do while you're enjoying your fish, Jared, in China?
Pull down your pants and shit on the plate.
Close. Feel free to burp while you're eating.
Okay, that is.
Yeah.
These are just too open-ended for me to just be able to guess this.
But you got it right.
Sense.
You got it right.
Okay, that actually makes me feel good because I did bring that up a little earlier. Granted, I did say fart. I don't know how they feel about farting.
Right.
But it was China that I was thinking of. But I didn't want to bring it up because it did feel sort of offensive to say because it was, to me, it was just something I always heard as a kid, you know?
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to just put a country on blast based off of something I heard when I was 12, you know?
Right. So, Jared, fine. I'll give you something that's a little less open-ended. True or false, Jared? In Ethiopia, they eat off of one giant plate.
That's true. There's an Ethiopian restaurant next to me. They also are a culture that is hand and bread based. So there's not a lot of utensil usage. There's a lot of picking up with bread and your hand as well.
And then you have I'm pretty sure wasn't Taste and See by my old apartment, wasn't that technically Ethiopian?
I've actually never been there. I've never been there, never eaten there.
Okay, well, they also
I only heard of it's lore to me.
Right.
I've only heard about it in story form.
They had a bucket in the middle of the table for you to like wash your hands.
Is it a bucket per person?
I thought it was,
or is it a communal bucket?
I thought it was a communal one at the table.
How quickly does that no longer become a cleaning bucket?
I don't know.
And just a gross bucket. I don't know. I have not been to a lot of Ethiopian restaurants, but I do know that they are hand and bread based.
Right. So here, let me ask you a region question
so
for
is
you,
like
Jared.
now that I think about it, so is a lot of Indian food as well as hand based and bread based, naan based, which is I guess
naan is so good.
Oh yeah, dude. So I'm a big Indian food fan. There's actually a place close to me that I always order from. Honestly, way too much, and it's getting to the point now where I used to order like just enough naan that goes with my meal. And the past couple times, for no reason, I've just ordered like
extra naan,
way more than I needed.
Worth it. Hey, if you ever need help with that naan, bro, hit me up. I will drive to you just for some naan. That's right. So, Jared, what regions or countries in the world?
Yes.
Is it impolite to pass something or eat something with your left hand?
A lot of Middle Eastern countries, a lot of any sort of culture that's hand based, like hand eating based, because a lot of those. I know India is one of them actually, where it's not good to do that. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think of another one. I mean, I imagine Ethiopia is probably one of them too. To be honest with you, but I would say any sort of culture that's heavily hand based, because a lot of those cultures are also cultures that are I guess you could call it bidet based,
right?
And they have a whole process for what hand is used for what, sort of like the same thing as it's super offensive to reach out to shake with your left hand, not just because you don't culturally, not just because it's weird to shake with your left hand, but because what that hand represents as a tool.
Right. So now this question,
this is
Jared,
my shit hand, essentially. I'm giving you my worst hand, is what you're saying.
That's why Jared and I always high five with our left hands.
Elbows.
Or good old fist bump.
Yeah, I'm giving you my shit elbow.
So, Jared, can you tell me what countries and or cultures where the generally no one will begin to eat until the eldest at the table eats?
I mean, when I hear that, I think anything Asia, because in general, as we've talked about, Asian cultures do tend to have a higher respect for elders in general.
Which was really funny.
But I will say this. Once again, I'm going to go back to my Southern family because I do feel like the South fits in with a lot of these things. There is, I would say, definitely a culture that the elders in the family, they don't make their food, but whoever is making their plate for them is going to be making they're making their plate first. So the elders in my family, and I imagine a lot of Southern families, the elders will be eating first, and it's like some son or daughter or whatever is making a plate for grandma,
right?
And they're sort of first in line, but they're definitely not making a plate for themselves first, you know?
Right.
It's like I'm making a plate for grandma, I'm making a plate for my mom, my grandma. Like everyone's getting a plate made for them by someone either in a relationship with them or older than them.
Right.
Like, it's just a whole like mix of someone else getting your food for you for some reason. That is a big cultural thing in the South, at least.
You know what's funny though too, Jared? So I saw a really interesting thing play out when I was in China. We were at this really nice luncheon after a workshop at this super nice middle school. And so we had the president of the school there with us. And then we had the like senior teacher with us. And the funny thing was that the senior teacher was older than the president at the school. And so they were arguing, kind of, not really arguing, but they were like, you go first. Because like he was his boss,
it's like
so he's
a
like telling
hierarchy
you
race,
right? Because he was like telling him like, "You're my boss, you need to start." And he's like, "Well, you're older than me, so you need to start." And then it was funny. One of the other teachers made the suggestion,
a Mexican standoff.
Exactly. We could call that the Chinese standoff, Jared. Right. But the funny thing is then one of the other teachers, she kind of butted in and she was like, "Well, we have these guests here. How about our guests start?" And
just to break the tie.
Yep. Another funny thing about dining etiquette in China, Jared, is you will, and I had seen this at a couple restaurants I visited in Jinan, you will see people almost get into straight up fights over just who's paying the bill. And when I say that, I mean who is trying to pay the bill. It's not like it's not like they're arguing, no, you pay. It's like, no, I'm going to pay. And they like fight to like get to the cash register first.
That's another big etiquette thing in general, where it is, in a lot of cultures, it's real unclassy. Not in the U.S., to be clear. I'm not, but in a lot of cultures, especially European, at least in my experience, it's very unclassy to split the bill. The idea of asking your waiter or waitress or whatever is sort of a low class, to be like, hey, can you split this up 5 ways? I had this, but I didn't have any drinks, so don't put that on me.
Right.
That is not really something that
she got the extra margaritas. I'm not paying for that.
Really, the move is it's like, you figure this out on your own time and just
just give me the money.
And so, but I've experienced, at least in the U.S., where it seems like in general. I mean, I'm not a waiter or waitress, and I haven't waited or waitressed in multiple countries. But at least it seems like in the U.S., the systems, the software is made up to be easily split. Like, it's made for that. And it's like, if you want to, it's very easy to just go in and like split it out and be like, put this on one check, put this on one check, or like put in percentages for how much each check will come out as. I don't get the sense that in a lot of other cultures, they're as obsessed with making sure you have like a system where you can very easily split it out, because it's like, this is not my job to take, like $6.48 from 12 people,
Right.
Just like, it's sort of an unclassy thing to do, I would say.
Right. And I don't blame them. To some degree, I don't blame them.
I think if I'm at real meals with my friends, not just like you go to like some sort of schnitzel joint, but if you're at like a proper restaurant, I'm certainly at the point in my life where it's like, I'm not against splitting this, but I'm at the point where like one of us can pay for it and we can split it after the fact.
Right.
Because I agree actually that it is sort of not a good look to be at the table of a relatively nice restaurant being like trying to split shit up. It's just it's not necessary.
Yeah, that's fair. No, you need to pay the extra 25
cents.
I
did not have that appetizer. I know that was an appetizer for the table, but I ate none of it, okay? Just to be clear. I do not like
Well, you passed the ranch
sticks
to your left, and then everyone else at the table ate it, so we had to order an extra one.
Yeah, party foul, because I actually saw you knock the bread off the table. We got an extra bread for $3 that we wouldn't have needed if you didn't knock it off the table.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Exactly. So that's at least 30 cents right there, at least.
That is your bread, not my bread.
Exactly. But yeah, another, I will leave us with this tip, at least in terms of China, and I know other Asian countries, Jared. Generally speaking, you want to never serve yourself first. And one thing, the luncheon or dinner where I saw this, where it kind of really set in for me, was I was sitting next to the president of the school where we were having this luncheon at, and he was pouring my beer for me. Like, it was so funny. Like, my beer glass would get close to empty, and he'd top it off for me. And so then,
really?
Yeah, and so then
I thought you meant he like handed, like, he's like, oh, would you like a beer? And he would like be like attending to you. Like,
yeah. So then I started to do that with him as well, and it was just kind of fun. It was a good time.
I would hate that. I would honestly hate that. Honestly, you can't really get mad at it because you understand what's happening. But personally, in my head, it would make me a little mad. I'd be like, "Can you stop doing like attending to me like this?"
Right. Exactly.
Did it not bother you? Because you just
it felt super weird.
Sure,
it felt super weird. But that's why I noticed if your beer got low, because what would happen is he opened up a beer.
How did he feel about you doing it back? By the way.
The funny thing was he didn't speak very much English, so he said something to the other teacher, and they kind of laughed about it. He was probably like, "Look at this stupid American." Yeah. But I mean, no, he was fine with it, But the way it worked was, we were sitting next to each other, and he would get out a beer, like open one. It was in a glass bottle. Pour some in his little cup. Pour some in mine. So we were also kind of sharing a beer.
I see.
You see what I'm saying?
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. That in itself is sort of weird. The idea of sharing a beer,
right?
Where it's like, especially when you're in a situation where you could easily just have your own,
right?
But I think that sort of idea of like once again, it goes back to in general, the Chinese eating culture is a sharing culture,
right?
And it sort of just goes back to the idea where it's like, this sharing of this beer sort of means something. It means that we're having a moment. We're not just
sharing a beer. We're sharing a beer.
Sharing a moment. It's a moment that we're sharing. Yeah. And so in my American mind, I go to like, well, why would you just how about we just each get our own? But it has
That's very American, for
nothing
sure.
to do with the fact that it's easier or the fact that we can have our own and have more and not have to go back and forth. It's like, no, this is I'm trying to tell you something by making it clear that we're shit. I'm letting you know that this is a moment for me too, essentially.
Right. I hate to say it, but I definitely got a little tipsy during that luncheon because
there's nothing wrong with that, Chad.
Man,
I struggle a lot. As a kid, if you were to talk to any of my family, my close family, they'll know I'm not a good sharer. It's just not in me, and I don't like it.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I'm always like, well, how about we just get our own thing? But I'm trying my hardest to.
One day, Jared, I'm taking you with me to Asia.
Where I have to accept it.
Yes.
I'm trying to get better at it because I understand the relation, the social aspect of it, and I understand
it's just a whole
the social benefit
vibe.
of it.
It's amazing.
But I've also been listening to a lot of podcasts recently where people have been talking where they're like, listen, if I'm in a relationship, you have to be okay with us, like me just taking shit off your plate. And even when I hear that, I'm like, ugh, how dare you?
Right.
But I'm like, but I get it. I get the idea, like how that like relation wise does add another layer of connection when you have that sort of food connection. So I get it, even though it pains me to do it. I'm trying my hardest to get better at it because I understand that it's bigger than just the food part of it. It's like, and no, you're making a real relation here.
And here's the other thing, Jared. If you don't care that much about the relation aspect of it, just look at it as you can try 3 to 4 times as many dishes as you could otherwise.
I think my challenge is where it's like, I don't, like you, even though I play it off as you're the picky person, I'm picky too. And so
the truth comes out.
To me personally, it's a bigger risk for me than it is for other people, because it's like, I know what I want, and I don't want to be in a situation where I get less of what I want because I have to eat other shit that I'm not really that interested in.
That's fair.
And so that I think that's where it stems from for me, where it's like a pickiness place is honestly where it stems from. Where it's like, I know I'm going to like this. I know what's in it. I see. And now I'm going to have to give a good bit of it away in the hopes that the other random stuff that other people order is something that I'll be interested in, which I can't guarantee as a picky person.
Right.
Do you understand that as a picky person? Have you been in?
Oh, 100%.
Because you've been in a lot of sharing situations, and I'm not saying you don't love sharing. I was going to say you make it seem like you love sharing, like you don't. Clearly, you're okay with the idea of sharing, but I imagine you have to understand the challenges of it as a picky person, where it's like, I just got to assume that the other people ordering stuff are going to get something that I'm interested in.
Well, Jared, and
they're going to love what I get, because I get probably the most accessible thing as a picky person.
Right.
So mine's definitely going to be eaten by other people, but I can't guarantee the same thing.
So I guess the difference was I was in a prime position to just be more open to that sharing type of communal eating, because there were so many dishes I had no idea what they were, no idea where to begin. So it was also great to have a lot of these Chinese people order the food for us, because they knew this is great here, this is really good here, this is not so great, let's order this instead, So and now I will say too, Jared, if it was like a burger joint, a wing joint, like something like that, like American food, I think it doesn't quite lend itself to the sharing aspect, I don't think, as much as other cultures, just because our food is so damn filling,
Sure. And a lot of these, whether it's Italian culture, food culture, or like Chinese food culture, a lot of it is like, the way that the food is sort of made. I guess in China, I'd imagine it's like you can order a bunch of different meat or vegetable dishes, and then we give you rice as well. So it's very easy to share. In Italian food, it's like it's either it's pizza or it's a whole bunch of giant pasta dishes. Once again, very easy to share things. The US, it's like burger, or it's like a steak, or it's like it's like these aren't shareable things really. You can't. It's not really easy to go back and forth at like a steak and split it up unless it's pre-cut somehow, which is doable, but it's not really how steak comes in the U.S. for the most part.
Right.
And so it's like, in general, these foods lend itself to that, which I understand, and which is in general why I'm trying to get better at the sharing, because it's like there's certain places where you have to be okay with it. You can't just.
Well, hey, one of these days, if the numbers start getting a bit lower and it's safer to go actually eat in a restaurant, we should hit up a Korean barbecue place.
Yes, dude.
There's
awesome. That one in Ann Arbor that I've actually been to before. On right down the street from that movie theater. What is that, State or something? I'm not good at streets in Ann Arbor.
Or is that Liberty?
You know at the corner where that movie theater is?
Yeah, you're talking about the Michigan Theater.
The street that goes straight down. That's not the one that's like parallel to that, but the one that goes straight down. If you look at the movie theater and you turn around, there's a street.
That Liberty? Yeah, I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, we should definitely do that.
You know, I like Korean food. I like Korean barbecue food a lot. Let's not get it twisted. Love it. I don't love the process of make. It's not going to stop me from going there. I'm not.
You're not trying to cook your food that you're paying for.
I don't hate it so much where like I wouldn't go there, but like I'm not in love with the idea of making your own food, only because like you have to like it's during the eating process. Like it's not just like you cook it all and then you eat. Like it's a constant thing you're doing.
But it's also it's that social aspect. You know, you get a couple beers. You're
And once again, I say this to say I'm not against going to Korean barbecue restaurants, because once again I also do love the food. I like the process of it, but I wish it was a process more like where it's just you do it and then you can eat, rather than you cook a little, eat a little, cook a little, eat a little. It's just not my favorite way to do it, but
that's fair.
I love it. So I'm happy to go is what I'm saying. And actually, now that I say this, now that I think about it, what I meant to say, if you're down, which I imagine you are, we can start being a person again as of next week. We'll be fully 2 weeks vaxxed.
Yep.
We'll be fully vaxxed as of next
trying to do a nature pod next weekend.
Oh, right. You just said you're going to go out to the woods. Listen, if you're going out into the woods...
I can't do it, man. I have a podcast we have to do. I can't do it.
Here's another excuse. If you want to go to the woods, I'm happy to... I have no problem doing virtual. It doesn't bother me at all. If you want to go into the woods, do it. Also, where would you think you're going? Maybe I could meet you.
We could find a spot near you, maybe.
Sure. Listen. We'll figure it out. Now that I think about it, I forgot. I don't want to stop. I just realized I might be stopping you from going on a trip again. I don't want that to happen. I'm happy to do virtual if you want to travel.
Or let's meet up somewhere.
We can do that too. We can do that too. It is nice to know now that we can, be as fully protected as possible and meet each other, because obviously we could have started recording in person before now, theoretically, but I felt like virtual has been going well. There's no reason why we shouldn't just wait until we're fully...
don't fix it.
Exactly. We might as well wait until we're fully vaxxed.
Exactly.
There's no reason not to. So now that we are, as of next time we record, we'll have to figure something out for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep in mind that an outdoor pod needs to be done soon.
Oh, yeah.
I miss it.
Without a doubt. Well, this has been a fun episode, Jared. I will say, though, I do want to do a part 2 of this at some point, because there's a lot of customs from specific countries we didn't talk about today. Which is fine, but I think we should definitely do a part 2 of this, because this was a fun one. I'm also very glad that we ate dinner before that. Well, I can't speak for you, but I ate dinner before this one.
You know, it's funny you say that. I ordered pizza during this episode.
Nice.
Which will be here in about 20 minutes.
Oh, are you eating it with your hands or with a fork and a knife, Jared?
When it's fork and knife. No, excuse me. When it comes to pizza, when it first gets here, the first day, I do it with hands. Okay. But when I reheat it, fork and knife. That's how I do it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Don't want that microwave grease getting on your fingertips.
I don't reheat in the microwave, and I
don't want that air fryer residue getting on your fingertips.
Out there that I would ever do that. Don't put that out there in the world.
Don't want that brick stone pizza oven ashes getting on your hands.
I have a built-in. I have my own stone oven that I throw.
That's right.
Reheat. How dare you?
That's right.
I'm classy as we.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have to try to make some fireside pizzas if we can make a nature pod happen one of these days.
We can actually do that. I 100% know how to do that. We can do that. That's a great idea.
That would be fun. Well, let us know what your thoughts are on dining etiquette at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram and YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast. And also, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher, and let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So, as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. You're going to have to devour that pizza, my man, after this episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And no dinner etiquette need apply when you're at home eating by yourself. Put on those pants with that elastic waistband, my man, and off to the races.
Yeah. Is there any rule on drinking wine straight from the bottle?
Yes. You have to buy the wine glass extension that you can pop on the top of it so it at least looks like you're drinking a glass of wine.
Or one of those gigantic wine glasses where it's like
That's
just one glass.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Exactly. It's like the size of your head. That would be great. Dude, I could tell you the last time I've drank an entire bottle of wine. It's been a while.
Oh, I could definitely tell you the last time I drank an entire bottle of wine.